the impact of drunk driving nationally and here in Maryland. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is Tony Covington. He's the state's attorney for Charles County. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Something like 30 people die nationally on a daily basis from drunk driving, and you say that that has an impact here on a regular basis in Maryland.
Absolutely. Every other day in Maryland, somebody dies from the result of drunk driving.
Talk to us, though, about what that means for you and the work that you do and the families that you see on a regular basis.
It is heartbreaking that I need to deal with folks who have lost a loved one, whose worlds have been shattered, okay? And then we try to hold the person who has done that to them. It's not accidental. People should know when you drink and drive, terrible things are going to happen, including killing people, and have to hold them accountable, especially in a system that, in my view, doesn't take drunk driving as seriously as it should.
Let's talk about what you're actually calling for. One of the things is related to breathalyzers, not just administered by police officers, but breathalyzers that can be used in other settings as well.
Right. A lot of people don't know that you can buy your own breathalyzer, and they're not that expensive. You have some that are $50, $60, some that are $100 and $200. They're the same type of machine that the police use on the side of the road, not the big one that they use back at the station. But people can buy those. And I advocate for that because it's education. The big problem with drunk driving is people don't know that they are drunk. And we're relying on people who are drunk to determine whether they're drunk. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. And it's just a way to educate people. I talk about people purchasing them themselves. When somebody's on probation for drunk driving, make it a condition of their probation. And also, I think that if you have a liquor license, you should make available to people in your establishment a breathalyzer. I'm not saying it's mandatory that the customers have to use it, but it should be mandatory that you make those breathalyzers, which are, let's face it, $100, $200, very cheap, okay, for an establishment. It's, you know, it's one couple's dinner and drinks, right? Make them available so that people can educate themselves. Because the bottom line is people don't know that they are unfit to drive.
Let's also talk about the words that we use as it relates to slogans and terminology. The law that reflects the national slogan, "Don't drink and drive," you want that to be what we say, don't drink and drive at all.
Right. The law really doesn't say don't drink and drive. The law says don't drink too much and drive, because you can have X amount in your system and still be under the legal limit. Well, again, you get back to the point of how are drunk people who have been drinking, enjoying themselves, and trust me, I'm not an advocate for getting rid of alcohol, not that at all. I just think people need to use it responsibly. But when people are doing that, their judgment gets skewed. That's what alcohol does. That's one of the things that it does, and that's what makes it a problem when people have it in their system and they're driving. And
we just have a short time left, but are you also calling for harsher penalties?
Absolutely.
When it comes to drinking and driving?
Absolutely. Our judicial system does not impose sentences that really matter. As a matter of fact, the legislature has a hand in this because they haven't laid out penalties that are sufficient. You get 10 years for motor vehicle manslaughter. That's the most you can get in Maryland after taking somebody's life. To me, it's an insult to families everywhere that have to suffer this, that my loved one's life is only worth 10 years. You can go to jail for 20 years for theft in Charles County, 20 years for dealing drugs. You can go to jail for a lot longer time than 10 years for a whole lot of different crimes that don't take somebody's life. Those penalties the maximum penalties need to be harsher, and the courts need to do a better job at imposing harsher sentences. That's the only way you're going to deter the behavior.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We've been talking with the state's attorney for Charles County, Tony Covington. I'm Jill Horner.